Hi! How are you today?
Are you guys ready to begin this agenda? Okay. So to the whole delegates who still outside the ballroom, you may get into this ballroom directly because we are going to begin this agenda after a while.
Okay guys, so now prepare yourself, prepare your brain, prepare your all about yourself because we will meet wonderful speaker after this. So I think this is wonderful experience, wonderful time. So prepare yourself. Okay? Okay.
Okay, besides waiting for the other delegates, you may prepare your book or another stationery for preparing and making some resume from this panel session.
Or you can prepare for your presentation maybe in the next day or something like that.
And again, I would like to announce you the whole delegates are still outside the ballroom. You may get into the ballroom already because we are going to begin this agenda immediately.
So now, from us, from Master of Ceremony, we would like to say to all of you guys, please prepare yourself, prepare your brain, your condition or something like that, because after this, we will meet wonderful speech. We will meet wonderful speaker. So this will be wonderful experience to our life. So prepare yourself. Thank you.
Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, please have your seat properly because we are going to begin this agenda directly.
So, before we start our agenda,
as we haven't introduced ourselves to you all before beginning this agenda, so before starting this panel session, we would like to introduce ourselves to the whole delegates. Okay, and I'm here with you, Nada Fauzia, and it's my partner.
my name is Putranida, and now
We are studying in Turkey.
And so we are so grateful because we can meet all of you today, guys. So welcome to Istanbul Youth Summit 2022. Give applause for us. Okay, guys. So actually, in my opinion, Istanbul Youth Summit is wonderful agenda. It's wonderful experience. So you must grateful because all of us can hear. Because it's wonderful experience, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I believe that in the future, you will always remember about this agenda, inshallah. And you know that Istanbul is most wonderful city in this world. And now, you are
Already been here and you see how wonderful Istanbul is.
So Istanbul is wonderful and all of you is wonderful. Give applause for us.
Okay, to the whole delegates of Istanbul Youth Summit 2022. Are you ready to begin this panel session?
I can hear you. Are you ready, guys? Okay, I can hear you again. Are you ready, guys? Okay, so
Okay, some of our speakers are already been here with us. So now, let us start this agenda. Welcome back to all delegates. Please take your seat because the panel session is about to begin. And finally, we go to the main events, which is a panel discussion with our distinguished speakers. Mr. Hilmun Ishak, Mr. Imade Subagyarta, and Mr. Audrey Maximilian. Give a big hand. And therefore, we leave this first panel discussion to Ms. Chantika Widiana Sopiansha as moderator.
ladies and gentlemen, Chantika Widiana Sopiansha is a graduate of Brawijaya University, Indonesia, majoring in taxation. She has had several internships in well-known companies such as Helfit Indonesia, Unilever, Danone, Circle, and other companies. She is also active in several campus organizations. Also, guys, she had a gold delegate in the International Wonderful Education Turkey in 2022 and was awarded the most promising project by Indonesia Millennial Connect in 2021. So please,
welcome Mr. Hilmun Ishak,
Mr. Audrey Maximilian,
Mr. Imade Subagyarta,
and Miss Chantika Widiana.
Give a big hand.
Diana. I'm also one of the delegates for the Istanbul Youth Summit. I'm from University of Brawijaya, Indonesia. So for today's panel session, as you can see, there is like 3 of speakers. We will talk about economy, public health, and also mental health. Some of you might be on a group which is talking about economic or mental health or also public health. So this session will be very important for you, especially for the one that is on a group who talking about this topic. Okay, so welcome for all the speakers. It's an honor for me to be a moderator for all of you guys. I saw you on the internet because you are such a great inspiration for all the young people all over the world. Okay, guys. So for the first session is going to be the public health. For the mental health topic. Please. Okay, so let me introduce you to Mr. Audrey Maximilian. He also called Mr. Maxi. He is a co-founder of Relief. Relief is a startup company that is actually working on mental health. It's a one-stop mental health application. You might be helped on your phone and had a vision to create peace of mind and smile all over the world. And then the education, he was graduated in University of Erlangga, majoring in information system in 2011, and also has a social entrepreneur in University of Connecticut in USA for the short course. He was named as a Forbes 30 under 30. As you may know, it was like an amazing achievement, and also had a Google Play Best Unique App in 2019, top 16 young social entrepreneur in Singapore in 2019, and also first rank and Android 1 competition Google in 2015. We're going to talk about mental health, and the theme of this session is Are You Okay? Prioritizing mental wellness in the midst of crisis. For Mr. Audrey, time is yours.
Wow. Hello, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Maxi. I'm a co-founder of Relief. Relief is a mental health startup which is located in Surabaya in Indonesia. Yeah. Okay, first of all, before I start this talk, I want to share a story that I could never forget, like a few years ago. A story about a young woman. Yeah, I still remember. Next, yeah. Ada clicker ya? You got clickers? No.
No.
Yeah, I'll say next then. Okay. Yeah, it's a story about a young woman. Her name is Bunga. Yeah, Bunga or Rose. Yeah, Bunga wasn't her real name. Yeah, I still remember at 2015, around 2015, Bunga sent me a message at the middle of the night at 12 a.m. At 12 a.m. she sent me a message, and I opened that message, and I was really shocked at the time. Yeah, I was really shocked at the time, and I opened the message, and the message contained that she did self-harm. She was doing a self-harm. She cutting herself at the middle of the night, and she told me that she has personal problems. Yeah, that happened. And personal problems, for most of people will think that personal problems is like simple problems, just common problems, trivial problems. But for some people, it can be really devastating impact for them who experience that. And sadly, Bunga is not the only one. There are some millions of Bunga in my country, in Indonesia. Next. Yeah. According to WHO, yeah, every 40 seconds, one person commits suicide because of depression. I repeat again, every 40 seconds. So I already talk like 1 minute or 2 minutes. 2 people already commit suicide because of depression. And there are 14 million people in Indonesia, or maybe more, because not all people will talk about mental health. Yeah, there are millions of people who have mental health problems, and according to Indonesian Psychiatrists Association at 2020, they did some survey. 64% in Indonesia feeling anxiety and depressed. Yeah. And what is actually happening? What is actually happening? Next. Next, please. Yeah. Before we talk further about mental health, let's talk about mental wellness. So, what is mental wellness? Mental wellness. Mental wellness is a positive state of mental health. So when you are being mentally well, means you are able to think, to feel, and then act in ways to create positive impact on your physical and social well-being. Yeah, so that's about mental wellness. Next. And we know mental wellness is affecting our body. Yeah, so it goes hand in hand with physical health and productivity. Our bodies and mind are not separated. Yeah. For example, if we have a depression, we will have headaches, or maybe if we are in anxiety, we will not can sleep. We will have insomnia. Yeah, and also it affecting our productivity. Yeah, so our productivity will be affected if we have mental health problems, because our physical body also affected. Next. Yeah. And burnout is the impact of that. Yeah, burnout is one of the most common mental health issues related to productivity in COVID-19 crisis. Yeah, we've been in the crisis in the last 2 years, and burnout is one of the most common. According to Monster.com, 69% of employees are experiencing burnout while they're remote working from home. Like, if we think like we were working at home, we will feel like, okay, we will relaxing at home, we will meet our family, we will be happy. But instead of getting that, we just like getting more problems. Maybe we have problems with our family, our support, so our works will not be done very well. Yeah. So that's the problems. And based on the problems and based on the phenomena that I mentioned, we think that we need some solution. Yeah, we need some solution, and we really care about mental health. That's why we start the initiative like a few years ago. Like next, yeah, we started Relief. So Relief is a mental health startup. Yeah, so we started with the online counseling, but we believe in approach of mind-body approach. Yeah, Relief is more than online text-based therapy, but we know that mental health is about sleep, exercise, social support, and everything in between. Yeah, and to understand more and to getting know more about Relief, I have a video that you can watch. Yeah, can you please play the video? Sound. Ayu is just one of 48 million people in Asia suffering from depression, and they all have something in common. The stigma against mental health issues often prevents them from getting the help they really need. That's why we started Relief, a website and Android app that helps people who suffer from work burnout, depression, addiction, and mental health issues. We anonymously connect users to professional certified psychologists through their phone and web browser. Our users can start a therapy session through online voice or Google Hangout video call. We partner up with the Indonesian Psychologists Association to build a strong network of over 100 experts with a psychology background. At the beginning of our journey, I had little experience as an entrepreneur. Google Business Group meetups were a big support for getting Relief off the ground. We learned how to use Google AdWords and Google Analytics to understand and grow our user base. We just recently hit more than 50,000 users. Looking back, we are really proud of what we created. We want to take relief to our neighboring countries so that more people, just like Ayu, can get the help they really need. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's an initiative that we start like a few years ago, yeah, around 2018. Yeah, so that's relief. So we connect people who have personal problem to professional psychologists. Next. Yeah, so far we already next. Yeah, so it's relief. Yeah, you can. It's already available in Play Store and App Store. You can use it right now. Next. Yeah, so far we already helped more than 750,000 people around Indonesia, and we work together with Indonesian Psychologists Association. Yeah, so we believe that if we connect the psychologists, people will get them easier. Yeah. Next. Yeah, and okay, thank you. Yeah, behind the product, behind the apps that we build, yeah, but behind of that, we have a vision that we want to create a peace of mind and smile all over the world. Yeah, and to make that happen, we believe that mental health awareness is the most important thing that we have to do. Yeah, so we were lucky enough to work together with Instagram and Indonesia. Yeah, in Indonesia, we create some campaign with several public figures, and we create some popular mental health topics, and then also we create the content. Yeah, here we create content, and then yeah, people will understand and getting to know more about awareness in Indonesia. Yeah. Next. Yeah, so why this age range is critical? Yeah, in the young people is the starting point of getting the mental health awareness higher. Why? Because in 18 until 35, it's the age where we have a lot of problems, from identity crisis, and then struggle to find a job, and then building a family and family problems. Yeah, so it's impossible if we don't have problems in this. So we believe that if we can empower the young people, yeah, they will be productive, and if they can be productive, they will have a better life. Yeah, because we believe that the population in Indonesia, yeah, it will be like most of the population will be a productive age. Yeah, so like Gen Y, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. Yeah, they are the future of the population. Yeah, so that's why we have to start it now. Yeah, from now. Yeah, and we are responsible to create a mentally healthy environment. And the last message that I want to share with you, everyone, yeah, we can start our contribution for mental wellness now. Yeah, it can be started from us. Yeah, start here by starting that we aware with mental health awareness. We are not toxic on the social media. We can be a good listener. Yeah, if we can do that, yeah, we already start the contribution in mental health in our society. Yeah, and then you can make a inner support circle, and then mental health activists, school and university, media and public figures. We believe that you are here the future of the generation, and you can create any content, you can create any initiative that also talk about mental health. Yeah, and the last thing, yeah, I know the journey of mental health in our society is still a long journey, but we believe it's not impossible. Yeah, quoting from one of musicians that I like, yeah, John Lennon, they said like, a dream that you dream alone is only a dream, but a dream that you dream together is reality. Yeah, so let's just dream together and make our initiative. We believe that your initiative will matters for everyone in the future. So let's start do it now. I think that's all that I can share. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alvin, for your material. Okay guys, I know you might be want to ask something to the speakers, but I have that session in the last, so we will like continue the material for the two other speakers, and then after that I will give you a chance to ask a question. So please keep your question. So our next speakers is Mr. Helmut Izhar. We will talking about the economy. I know that there is a lot of group that is talking about economy. I think economy is one of the most group in our Istanbul Youth Summit. So please show their CV. Okay, so this is Mr. Helmut Izhar, PhD. He is a senior economist at Islamic Development Bank Group. He was a lecturer in economics and finance in Markfield Institute of Higher Education in UK. Also a research fellow in Oxford University and a consultant in Karim Consulting in 2003 to 2004. He has like 4 projects going on, and then one of them is in collaboration between UN, ISDB, and also World Health Organization. His education is actually a PhD in economics at Durham University in UK, and got a master's degree in Islamic finance at Loughborough University in 2005. And then there's a lot of achievement and also awards in science and research. Please give it up for Mr. Helmut Izhar, everyone. Mr. Helmut, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Günaydın. Very good afternoon. Okay, bahasa Inggris ya?
Yes, in English.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Don't worry, I will not provide with Friday prayers. I'm not here to give you sermons. Look, I was simply feeling over the moon. It comes with my name, Hilmun, and I'm feeling over the moon. All right? Simply because when I received the text, asking me to be part of this Istanbul Youth Summit, this is literally something that is beyond my comfort zone. I've been traveling all around the world. I've been blessed and privileged, but only today I am amongst you guys, my brothers and sisters, my juniors, my peers, with you feel so fired up. And your positive energy has rejuvenated my spirit. And at the same time, whether it is fortunately or unfortunately, you really make me feel old. Because one of you guys told me during the break that, look, Pak Ilmun, I think you are the most senior. I think what he's trying to tell me is that you are the oldest here. But anyhow, look, I don't want to make much of your time because even myself, I'm very much looking forward to listening and learning from you guys, and also listening and learning from my fellow speakers. But what I'm trying to tell you today, in a nutshell, is how we will be seeing the future or the economic outlook. But currently, I'm based in Jeddah, but I am still holding the, something that we're still very proud of, feel very proud of, the Indonesian passport. But I live in Jeddah, but I think in fact, more than half of my age, I've been away from my hometown, namely Malang. And more than 17 years I've been living abroad. I spent quite good numbers, over 6 years in the United Kingdom to do my master and PhD, and did some work as well. As mentioned before, I lecture at the Markfield Institute of Higher Education. I taught economics, finance, and some quantitative methods as well. And then I performed I migrated essentially to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now I'm working at the Islamic Development Bank. I will tell you a bit about the Islamic Development Bank later, okay? But first of all, there are 3 reasons. I don't want to sound, or I don't want to appear to be very snobbish, but there are 3 reasons why you should listen to me, okay? Number 1, I have earned my credentials by completing my degrees, thank God, from, I would say, quite reputable universities. I did my bachelor degree in economics from, again, one of the top, if not the top, at least what I believe, university is in Indonesia. I did my bachelor degree in economics, monetary economics in Universitas Indonesia. And as you know, the current Minister of Finance was the teacher or the lecturer of University of Indonesia or FUE, and there are some other big names as well. I was privileged and humbled that I completed my master and PhD in the United Kingdom in Loughborough University for master and PhD at Durham University. That's all right. Next is your turn, by the way. Right? You may feel inspired by what I'm trying to share you now, but do not worry. That next turn is yours. I will give you a secret later on. Right? And I've been privileged to have delivered lectures, seminars, conferences in top universities. That includes Harvard University, Oxford, Cambridge universities as well. And of course, I don't need to tell you what Harvard University is. Harvard is Harvard after all, right? And guess what? In 2000, in the year of 2000, I was still doing my degree at the University of Indonesia. And again, at that time, out of the blue, I had the invitation to participate, not to speak, from the Harvard Law School to attend the first Harvard Islamic Finance Forum. And by the way, my field of specializations is Islamic economics or Islamic finance, right? And upon my return from the United States of America in Boston, one of my friends was telling me, look, Hilman, now you just came back from the United States to attend as a participant at Harvard University. Guess what? 10 years down the line, you will be sitting there and speaking at Harvard University. I was just telling myself, what the hell are you talking about? That's impossible. And guess what? Exactly 10 years afterwards, I was sitting at the front at the Harvard University giving lectures. So I totally agree with Pak Maksi just mentioned just now. A dream, if you dream alone, it will only be an illusion. But if you dream together, you will end up doing a reality. And by the way, I think for those who speak Arabic, my name also has the meaning of a dream. Hilm. In other words, I'm also a dreamer, just like you are. Next, I have built my reputation as an Islamic economics and finance expert, a strategist and development economist with more than 15 years of experience, expert collaborations, as well as the stakeholder engagement across the globe. Thanks to my work as well at the Islamic Development Bank, I've been traveling at least in 4 continents. Only 2 continents I haven't visited. Number 1 is the North Pole, you know, the Antarctic continent, and Austria. Believe it or not, I haven't been to Australia. And this is another public secret that nobody knows. I am the 3rd Indonesian for the individual category who has received the international accolade at the annual Global Islamic Finance Awards. It was taking place in 2017 in Kazakhstan. With the presence from the former president of Kazakhstan at the time, Sultan Nazarbayev. As you know, the name becomes the name of one of the cities in Kazakhstan as well. Now, during my conversation with some of you during the breaks, lunch, even yesterday as well at the hotel in Windsor in Bayram Pasha, some of you may not get the idea what is actually Islamic Development Bank. Is it the same as Waqf Bank in Turkey? Is it the same as White Finance House? And so on and so forth. That's not exactly the same. In a nutshell, just to give you the background of the Islamic Development Bank, please don't worry about the slides being shown here. Let me tell you briefly and verbally so that it will make things clear. Islamic Development Bank is essentially what we call as the MDB, or Multilateral Development Bank. So our peers are This is exactly like the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, the African Development Bank, based in Tunisia, and also one of the infrastructure banks that was recently founded that is now currently based in Beijing, AIIB. And as you know, AIIB has been transforming themselves to become one of the biggest donors for our economic development in our country. So the same, one of the only differences essentially is how we give the financings to our member countries. And in the opening ceremony today, you might have heard that some of the speakers mentioned the word OIC, or Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Organization of Islamic Cooperation was essentially behind the establishment of Islamic Development Bank. We have the same number of member countries, namely 57 member countries. So I've been privileged to be part of those projects, initiatives, and so many economic development challenges and contributive activities in 57 member countries. And perhaps later on during the break, if we still have time, I will give you a bit of a very interesting story, an eye-opening story that took place in Suriname. You might have heard. For those who love football, you may still remember Ruud Gullit, right? Or Frank Rijkaard. Where are they originally from? They are originally from Suriname. In Suriname, there are so many Indonesian communities over there, i.e. Javanese, and they still speak Javanese. They cannot even speak Indonesian, by the way. They speak Javanese. And there is another interesting story that I can tell you now, because then I will take much of the time from the other panelists, is that there are two types of mosques, or masajid, or jami, you call it in Turkey, which faces towards different qibla direction. Okay? As we all know, when we perform our namaz or our salah, we are facing qibla, which is now located in Saudi Arabia. But there is another interesting story. This is only a spoiler alert. Okay? Next. Some thought of the global pandemic. It's not over until it's over. Welcome to year 3, unfortunately. We have spent 2 hot seasons, 2 Eid al-Fitr, 2 Bayrams, not only Qurban Bayram, as well as Ramadan Bayrams. We have been undergoing such a difficult time, such an unprecedented, challenging time for all of us, without any exceptions. But thank God that the rollout of the vaccinations has been taking place in so many degrees, in many different countries, and I think we have to be very proud of ourselves as a nation, as Indonesian, because despite the fact that we have so much huge population, you know, spreading across our 13 how many thousands islands, I think we have been able to manage those things in a quite great deal that I think we have to really appreciate. And I'm not a magician, obviously, nobody is, but I think by early 2023, earliest perhaps, we can expect something to return back to the normal, if we cannot call it as a new normal. So the pandemic presents basically a political turning point if we look at it from the ongoing tension between the United States of America and China, notwithstanding the fact that there is now an ongoing and current tension, the new revived tension between the United States, China, and then now it's all over the places, you know, the tension between now United States and some of the European Union with the Ukraine, and not to mention the ongoing tension that is still now taking place in Middle Eastern countries, GCC, and plus in Southeast Asia. Why I need to mention this? Because one way or the other, those things will adversely impact the engines of the economy. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about the economy, it is talking about the real sector. Not to mention about the financial sector that can really overwhelm how the engine is growing in taking place in the real sector. So what's the impact on global growth? We must have felt it before. Huge impact on travel, trade, employment, despite massive policy support. One of the defining points for any country, for those who would like to survive, and manage to get through the whole pandemic is how they can really sustain their fiscal surplus. And so many different countries, they have come to an agreement, whether it is G7 and now G20 is now going to take place, and we happen to be the president holding the presidency of the G20 this year. There's going to be taking place a huge summit in Bali, hopefully I think sometimes in October, so we cannot simply overlook this momentum. Some good news though, as the certainty receipt finally, and hopefully in the next few months, hopefully with the vaccinations that is now taking place and rolled out, despite some of the countries are still very reluctant with the third jab and the distributions of the vaccines. And again, there is also a demonstrations of inequality, another type of inequality. Who controls the chain of the supply chain and the global value chains may have to be revisited, because that has one way or the other had a huge impact as well on how the economy is growing. And when it comes to the Indonesia, for instance, or some neighboring countries, the other type of concerns, I wouldn't want to say the crisis, but the concern that we have to overcome if we would like to achieve our Vision 2045, as you know, Visi 2045 is one of the things that has been our sort of quote-unquote baggage. We have to overcome this thing, namely the middle income trap. This is something that is going to define us, whether we will be successful in bolstering our economy and to achieve ultimately the status of being the advanced economy, or we are quite pleased and content or even happy to become only the middle income, let alone the upper middle. Now we are still at the medium or even lower middle income among our G20 peers. Right. The good news, another good news is that given the current trend, some of the Southeast Asian countries and Asia Pacific countries may be quite promising in terms of their economic growth. But we have to be very cautious here when we talk about the economic growth. There is another aspect that is inevitably cannot be addressed or does not really come out in terms of the calculation of this economic growth, i.e. the income inequality. This is something that may not be necessarily addressed when we talk about the economic growth. Right. Risk threaten the short-term bounce back. Again, the China-US tension casts a geopolitical cloud over Asia, and hopefully us or the Indonesia or Indonesians as a nation being one of the sort of leading countries in the G20, this is something that we should really be proud of, but at the same time we have to come to the real term by action, especially this year. We simply cannot afford to lose the momentum. I think I have come to the last slide. Just leave it. Right, what are the key takeaways? Is it going to be a scar or scratch? Well, what can we say? China, whether we agree or disagree, is still ahead of the curve, but US still ahead. Significant risk factors pose threat to recovery, and another thing that we have to really take into consideration is that we may need to look or relook at the notion of globalization, whether it is going to be it's not that we are going to get rid of the notion of the globalization, but perhaps we need to redefine what is really meant by globalization and how it can actually help the global communities, irrespective of their race, religions, and political affiliations. With that, I would like to end my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions or comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, you guys, do you feel like a Harvard student already? Like, it sounds like a lecture, but it is really great information about the economy. And by the way, in Indonesia, actually, there's a lot of young people who is also concerned about the economy, especially for like a small business enterprise. So there's a lot of like NGOs like doing some projects to help small business enterprise. Maybe we can't really help for the GDP, but at least we can help like the local people around us for that project. Okay, you guys, we are going to be on the last speaker for today. And then, if you have already a question in your mind, please keep that because we will talking about the public health sector with Mr. Imade Subagaria. He is a Master of Medical Science in Harvard Med Stud in 2020 and present, and then graduated as a graduated researcher in the MIT. And also, there's a lot of awards from Carta, such as, sorry. Okay. Like graduate student researcher at the MIT, and then teaching fellow at Harvard University. And also in Indonesia, Carta is a program conductor at Udayana One Health Collaborating Center, who is supported and established one of health studying club across Indonesia, Vietnam, and also Thailand. And then before studying in Harvard, he was a student of a Doctor of Medicine at University of Udayana in 2008 to 2014. And then all of this, we will listen to him about talking about public health. And then please give it up for Mr. Imade Subagarta. Time is yours.
Well, thank you. I like that music. I feel like coming from a Disney castle. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, guys? Amazing right now. Cool. Wow, this is my very first time in Istanbul. And this is my very first time in-person session with almost 300 people, I guess?
Almost, yeah. 200, 300, yeah.
Yeah, so when I first got the call, and the committee was telling me, oh, this is going to be in person, it's going to be in Istanbul, it's beautiful. My first question was that, am I ready to talk to actual people? For the past 2 years, I've been staring and just simply talking to my screen, to my laptop, and I don't even have proper clothes anymore at home, so I need to buy a new one for you guys, because I'm so excited to be here. And again, thank you Istanbul Youth Forum for having me. My name is Imade Subagiarta. I go by Arta, sorry. Ya kalau versi boleh Arta gitu ya. I'm a medical doctor by training. I was an international kind of programs. I was doing my clinical rotation in Udayana University in Bali and did my basic science in Japan. And a little bit sorry about Harvard. So I have a different story about Harvard, and I wanted to take this moment to remind you that everyone has the potential to reach their dream. So in 2012, there's nothing to do with public health, so this is just my story. In 2012, I was telling myself, I want to go to the US, and I wanted to study at Harvard. I was still, quote-unquote, koas. So I was medical intern doing my clinical rotations to become a medical doctor. And I was telling myself I wanted to go to Harvard. I first applied to Harvard in 2014 with a very limited kind of preparations. But I was lucky, I got accepted to Harvard to study for medical sciences. But at that time, there's a requirement for medical students to take a medical internship to be licensed as a doctor. And I told Harvard, hey Harvard, I actually need to finish my internship. Is there any way that I could extend this offer and I go to the US and starting my study in 2015? Now Harvard was telling me, who do you think you are? Like, they were telling me, no. There are only two options for you. Either you take it, study next year, and or just decline the offer. And at that time, this guy coming from a small village in Tabanan, Bali, Indonesia, decided to decline the offer from Harvard. So I said, okay, I don't need to go to Harvard. So I need to finish my medical degree, medical internship, and become a doctor because I really wanted to help people. So I said no to Harvard in 2014. In 2016, I reapplied to Harvard to the same program. I got accepted again. But when I first got my acceptance letter, my dad was sick. So I have this, again, two options, either to take it or to decline the offer. And unfortunately, of course, I have to say no because I need to take care of my dad. And I reapplied again with no expectation because I feel like they already blacklisted me. Like, my name is very unique, you guys, especially for the bule. It's like, I made Subhagyarsha. So everyone knows my name. That's the point. So when I reapplied to Harvard, the first questions from the program director was like, are you sure? Are you playing a game with us? Are you really wanted to study at Harvard? That was the question. And I said, yes, of course, blah, blah, blah. And again, I got accepted again. So I got accepted. I applied 3 times. I got accepted 3 times. I declined the offer 3 times. The moral of the story is that everyone has their own timeline. If you're planning to do something now, you might not get the result today. Could be tomorrow. Could be the day after. Anyone remember the third law of Newton? Anak fisika, ada anak fisika nggak? Ingat tuh. Hukum ketiga Newton apa? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reactions. When you have, or you put your energy to create any actions in your life, there will always be reactions. You can get a result today, tomorrow, probably 10 years from now. So your time investment by sitting here today, hopefully, will benefit you someday in your future. Okay? So bear with me. Give me 20 minutes of your time. We're going to be talking about public health. I know you guys are overwhelmed by the COVID-19, but I will be using COVID-19 as a case studies so we can discuss more about what can we do as young people to create some sort of innovations or solutions to contribute to the development of a better world, to achieve the vision for a better health. We'll start the presentation by first asking this question. The question which we don't know the actual answer is. So when people ask how or when we'll know this pandemic or crisis will over, there's no consensus. You might remember in March 2020, it's been a while, it's been two years. 2 years ago, WHO first declared this COVID-19 as pandemic. We'll be talking about what the pandemic really is in a bit. But since then, with the discovery of testing, contact tracing, or even vaccine, the status has remained the same, pandemic. You might realize some countries have lifted their COVID-19 related restriction. For example, when I got to Turkey, they didn't ask for PCR tests, for example. But when I fly back to the US in 2 days, I will need my proof of vaccinations, not only the first or second jabs, I will also need my booster. I need my COVID-19 test that will only be valid for 24 hours. So I need to take it tomorrow to fly back in the US, to fly back to the US in 2 days. So every country has their own restriction. Every country has their own actions that they take. And that's okay. Every country has their own kind of like strategy. But I just wanted you to know, with all this innovation, with all these discoveries, the status remains the same. Right? looks like doesn't work. All right. I know, I hate numbers, and especially when it comes to COVID-19 cases. So this is the data that I actually got today this morning, because I wanted to have the latest data for you guys. As for yesterday, on the Valentine's Day, where people share chocolate, we also share bad news. So, as for today, globally, there are more than 400 million confirmed cases that is reported to the WHO, or World Health Organizations. And unfortunately, that includes more than 5.8 million deaths caused by COVID-19. And if you look at the situation by region, you might see some of the cases, majority of the cases are happening in Europe and Americas. That includes Canada, the US, and South America. It is important for us to understand because a lot of public health experts, a lot of scientists were saying that this cases, COVID-19, is kind of, it's not really the actual case. It's underreported because, quite frankly, not every country, not every nation has an equal access to contact tracing. Not every country has an access to PCR tests or any COVID-19 tests. So this case is very underreported. And if we wanted to break down to the timeline, let's see what's going on, what's happening 2 years ago. I still remember I was actually, I flew back home in December 2019. I'm originally from Bali, Indonesia. So I was in Bali for a couple days, and it was so easy to travel that time. I went to Bali, and I spent New Year's Eve in Malaysia with my friends, and I flew to Kenya, Africa, to conduct my research. And on my way to Kenya, I was transited in Guangzhou, China. This was January 1st. And I was sitting next to this Chinese businessman. He's like a well-known businessman apparently in Kenya. He's doing the import and export kind of business. And he was like, yeah, this is so easy for us to just travel from China to Kenya and just, export all the stuff that we need. And looking back now, that's not the case anymore, right? And when I flew back to the US, it was in January, and I arrived in Boston pretty late. I was still a student at that time. And I needed to be at Yale University in the morning. So I took the train, and I read some news on COVID-19. It was not COVID-19 at that time, but it was just like some sort of flu from China. And I took an Uber, Grab, GoCar. Are you okay down there? So I took the Uber, and then this is the funny story, you guys. So there's this guy. Don't get me wrong, the Uber driver was really nice. He was very polite, but he was telling me this. Yo, dude, I feel so bad for you guys and your people. Wait, what do you mean? I've heard a lot about this Chinese virus, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I read the news, obviously. But I talked to him, like, first of all, just because I am Asian and I'm not Chinese. Second, you should be worried about ourselves, with all of us, not only worry about me and my people. Because apparently, this is not the first pandemic that we encountered, correct? We're going to be talking about more details about the history of pandemic in a bit. But it's so interesting to look at the history. Ooh, okay. In December, the first symptoms of COVID-19 was discovered in Wuhan, China, December 1st. And then, if you look at, I know it's pretty small, you guys. I also need to move a little bit to read it. But if you look at this diagram, if you look at it, like December was the first onset of the COVID-19 related symptoms in Wuhan, China. And less than a month, first imported cases was reported in Thailand. And if you look it in details, by the end of the month, WHO was declaring this as a public health emergency, not pandemic yet. Mid-February, 2nd February, first mortality or death founded or reported in the Philippines, and God knows how, and God knows what happened. By mid-February, the outbreak was everywhere. South Korea, Italy, the US, and in March, WHO declared this as a pandemic. I still remember when this first came out, I was, just having my moment. It was almost spring break for us, so it means that we gotta travel, no more school. And I got a text from my friend who, at that time, was still a medical student, but he was doing rotation at Boston Hospital. And he texted me, "Arta, we should go to eat at the Brazilian barbecue restaurant tomorrow, because that's gonna be the last time we could eat properly outside." And I was like, dude, chill. We still have a week after, but seriously, let's just go. And then we went there, we had good food, and you know what happened the day after? The world was shut down. I remember you might have heard about this, that the US was running, that we don't have toilet paper in the US. At that moment, we're running out of everything. I went to the grocery stores, there's no food, there's nothing. It's completely empty. It's like a zombie land if you haven't watched that in real life. And I was like, and at the time, the president was also telling some interesting news that we need to kick out all the international students from the country. So as international students, I'm not only suffering from the fact that I don't have food to eat, I also need to deal with the news that I might get kicked out from the country. So that was happening in 2020. Today, we're so lucky we can travel. We are able to travel. Of course, with certain restriction. We're able to get vaccinated. We're able to get boosted. So I just wanted to take the moment for you guys to, if you guys haven't got any vaccine yet or haven't got boosted yet, and you guys have the access to a vaccine, please vaccinate yourself. Earlier, we were talking about pandemics, but I just wanted you guys to understand there are certain terms that's very practical, and I just wanted to touch base on it a little bit to just make sure that we all are on the same page on this situation. So on the right side, you will see epidemic. There's also this term called endemic. There's also this term called pandemic. So currently we're facing pandemic. It is similar to epidemic, but it has a different degree to which it has spread. So essentially, epidemic is an unexpected increase in the number of disease cases in a specific geographical area. So we're hoping that down the line, like pandemic COVID-19 would be epidemic. Still going to be dangerous, but if it's not pandemic anymore, it means that the spread of the disease wouldn't be that bad. We call it pandemic because it spread exponentially. It spread rapidly, and it's impacting hundreds of millions of people. And there's also this thing called endemic. Endemic means the outbreak that is consistently present. So if you're talking about malaria, like we know Indonesia and some parts of Africa, for example, we do have cases of malaria. But then when you travel to Indonesia, you're not required to get malaria prophylaxis. Only if you go to certain places. So that's the difference of epidemic and endemic. It is important to understand that because I know some of you might have the idea to solve certain issues related to healthcare. So by understanding the term, you will be able to kind of prepare yourself towards which trajectory you wanted to achieve. And I told you earlier, this is not the first pandemic, and unfortunately, it won't be the last. So if you look at the data here, I really like the pictures. It looks cute, but it's scary. Spanish flu, probably something that you have heard, 100 years ago, kills almost 40, 50 million people. Recently, COVID-19 already killed more than 5.8 million people. HIV/AIDS, still happening up until today, killing more than 30 million people. So this is not only about flu-related syndromes, so flu-related symptoms. There are a lot of things that are happening in the world that cause public health emergency. So what is actually constitute a public health emergency? So there are three things that I wanted you guys to remember. First, there will always be health consequences. There will always be event or precipitating events, and there will always be causes. Cause of the diseases or cause of the problem. And all of these are impacting human health. This is what happens when there's a threat. There is a condition that can cause either significant numbers of people death or mortalities or long-term disability. That's what happened when people call it public health emergency. And public health emergency is very temporary. So it's like, so for example, the US government, based on the law, they can only stay the public emergency for 90 days. If it's still happening, they will need to extend it. Why is it important to really define public health emergencies? Because it's going to be related to the decision making. So we need to do this and that. We need to ask you to wear masks. We need to ask you to get vaccinated. And also resource allocations. Quite frankly, it's all about the action that the country needs to take. So that being said, it is important to understand also the decision-making processes. And this is going to be the segue we talk about, more into practical tools that you guys can use for your project. It is important to understand that every decision that government makes is consisted of inputs, process, and also outputs. And one particular element that I want to emphasize here is the situational awareness. Anything that you need to do, anything that you want to create, you first need to understand what's the context. If you're talking about COVID-19, you need to understand what COVID-19 is. If you're talking about mental health, for example, you need to understand what the actual problem is. Whether is it the infrastructure that we don't have, or the mental health literacy that we don't really possess in the community, or other things. So it has always been important to understand what the cause of the problem, what the root cause of the problem. And then once you understand the cause of the problem, you can use the metrics to understand whether we need to take immediate actions, or we can focus on strengthening the existing resources, or just go with the flow, go with the surveillance resources that we have. So this will help you to navigate where to go, where we are at in our issues. All right, so I need to move a little bit, I guess. In any crisis, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's obesity, whether it's mental health, whether it's economy, there are two things that are equally important. First, to solve immediate problem, and second, to prevent this happening, this event to happen again. In the case of COVID-19, the immediate problems that we need to solve is to prevent people from dying. So we need to prevent the increasing number of mortalities. And in the long term, we needed to prevent this to happen or re-happening again. In doing so, there are so many approaches that we can take in terms of public health, in the context of public health. But there are two tools that I want you to understand. The first one is One Health approach, which essentially, I was working on under this project when I was still in Indonesia, and it was funded by the US government because the US government realized that Southeast Asia is the hotspot of infectious diseases, so they provided us with money do something to solve the infectious diseases in Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia. So this was the one that we used, One Health approach, where essentially we understand that human health is related with animal health as well as the eco-health. So we need this kind of collaboration among people to sit together, to discuss together, whether you're like economists or you're architecture students or you're medical students, we all have the same responsibility to take care of our community, to take care of our health. And that's what we did at that time. So we sit with stakeholders, with medical students, with health professional related students, and also economics students, to just see what can we do to solve infectious diseases, and that happens. One thing that I also wanted you to remember is the disease triangle. So any diseases, especially infectious diseases, consisted of three elements. So there will always be a host, could be human, could be us, could be animal, could be plants, could be anything. And there will always be a pathogen, could be COVID virus, could be bacterial, could be parasite, could be anything. And there's also an environment. Think about the time when people say social distancing. Do not sit too close to each other. That's one of the examples on how environment is actually affecting the disease. If you look at the triangles, when the triangle is, complete, there's no social distancing and stuff, it's easier for the diseases to spread. But if you look at the second triangles, when you make space, when you distance yourself from each other, less diseases happen. Tomorrow you'll be presenting, I don't know, your projects. I don't know what kind of projects that you will be presenting, but there are always three elements within any project to properly, works in the context of public health. There is this triangle talking about the prevention in the context of public health. There's always first or primary prevention, secondary and tertiary. If you wanted to tackle any diseases or any issues within the larger populations, you will be doing the primary interventions or primary preventions, which essentially consisted of health promotion and specific protections. For example, if you're doing mental health, as what Maxi already explained earlier, you're probably doing a lot of health promotions related to mental health, because we understand there's still this tabuness talking about mental health, or any other issues. COVID-19, we promote, to wash your hand properly, wear masks and stuff. And those are also the example of specific protection. We know COVID-19 spread easily through the air, so we wear masks. That's the example of specific protections. So if the disease or the problem has been happening and it has been there, and you still wanted to create some sort of innovation, so you go to the secondary prevention, which is the early diagnosis, prompt treatment, by providing any potential drugs, for example. Oh, we found diarrhea, for example. We found this A medicine to solve the issue. That's part of the early diagnosis and prompt treatment. And also, part of the secondary prevention is disability limitation. So we wanted people to have the least possible impact from the disease. The last one, more into like individual basis, is tertiary prevention. We're trying to increase the quality of life by providing a proper rehabilitation. So just bear in mind. So remember which part of this triangle that you're working on. One thing to remember, whenever you wanted to propose ideas, to propose solutions, always come up with the actual problem. What is the root cause of the issue? You probably have this, and this is very normal or physiological for a human being, to think that my solution is the best. Like my pointers is the best pointers in this world. We don't understand, and do people actually need pointers in their life? Same goes to like mobile apps or website based. Do they really need that? So there are two elements that you need to remember when you're trying to propose some ideas or to solve a problem. There will always be innovation and there will always be adoption system. You're probably creating the best app in the world, but in that specific country, they don't have internet connections. They don't have electricity. They don't even have mobile apps or mobile phone, for example. How do people will use your mobile apps? So always understand the context and the problem. The adoption system will determine whether your solution will work or not. And this is a very handy tool that you can use. Not only in the context of public health, in any context, you can use the IDEO system thinking framework. Always start with understanding the problem. Talk to people, conduct need assessment, and then try to define the problem. Tomorrow you will realize a lot of people are actually forgetting what is the problem they're trying to solve. So always try to define your problem properly. And even when you test your prototype, or even when you implement your ideas, always come back to the first question, first notion, to empathize and define the problem. This is probably the last part of my slide. But COVID-19 has taught us, or at least teach me, the value of freedom. It was so easy for us to move, to travel. It was so easy for us to just simply hug each other or shake hands. I can't remember the last time I shook stranger's hand. Like when one of the committee was trying to shake my hand, I was like, should I shake the hand? Or I don't have any hand sanitizer. That's a freedom that I actually miss. And there are two other lessons that I feel very essential. First, COVID-19 has revealed the fact that there is a huge disparity in our society, whether it's technology, whether it's infrastructure. But at the same time, COVID-19 has also helped us to accelerate so many different things. You're probably now studying from home or working from home, or you can have a lot of new apps in your phone because it has accelerated digitalization. So I wanted us to look at the silver lining. There will always be a positive side in everything. And I just wanted all of us to remember the collective impact that we wanted to take needs an investment on collaboration and coordination. And it's not only the responsibility of our government anymore. It is the responsibility of all of us. And I just wanted to be able to be part of this massive movement of young people to start to think about any potential ideas that we could propose to help solve and contribute to the betterment of the society. My name is Imadi Subagyata. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akta. Okay, you guys, we've already traveled from the, public health, economic, and also the mental health. And now you might already got a question for the speaker, and this is your time to ask them. Might be the first and the last opportunity that you have. So I will give you this opportunity. If there's anyone who wants to ask a question, please. Okay, I will start from this and then to that, okay? Okay, so please, the committee, can you give the microphone to this lady? Yes, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then thanks for Mr. Maximilian, Mr. Helman, and then Mr. Imadi Subagyarta. We are in the same city. I came from Bali also. My name is Kadek Dia Karyaswari Dewi, and I'm the leader from Education's 5 group. I have some questions because we have the same concern about young people is the asset of all the country around the world. I think all the country give us burden and in the same time give us the benefit to more develop and develop again about the country development. And then because of that, I have a question to, can I have the questions for all the speakers?
Okay, please.
Thank you. For the first speaker, I want to ask about how can young people struggle more and then like just give their self problem solver while they are stuck and then they trying to go to psycholog or counseling sessions but they cannot get the problem. Is it just why get the relief is one of the solutions that young people can go if they have some mental health problem, I guess. That's the first questions. And then the second questions is, because I'm majoring from international relations, I got your point about G20. And then Indonesia got the presidency of G20 in these years. So what Islamic Development Bank do to the diplomatic relations to G20 and supporting Indonesia G20 around the world? Maybe what Islamic Development Bank to support Indonesia? What kind of the things that Islamic Development Bank do to Indonesia? And then can you give us some future sessions, the two things, the two social things that you do in your life that very highlighted for you, and then that you supported too much, like for young people development or in your life that you unforgettable moment, like the two things that, or two program or the two activity that you do in your life. And then the last question is for Mr. Imade Subagyarta. I think all the people cannot define and predict how or when this pandemic is already over because of all of us trying to create new organizations, new community. I think all of us here prepare for the social project, but the question is how can this social project implement very well if that's just our planning? How in your side, in public health side, how the best like recommendations that you give to us? Maybe is it possible we do the hybrid system or offline system while we can see that unstable country like Indonesia again during the PPKM level 3? I think every government have different public policies about the pandemic. So what is your recommendations, policy recommendations to us? Like what can young people do to our country? I think it's enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will give the first question to Kak Atta. Okay. Yeah. How relief became a solution for the young people, for the young generation in a psychology way, in their mental health. How relief became a solution?
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll answer. Thank you so much for the question, Kadek. A really great question. So yeah, we will share about the early journey of relief. Yeah. So actually, relief wasn't a startup. So actually, I started this project when I was graduated in university, like 2015. Yeah, that 2015. Yeah. The story began when I knew Bunga. Yeah, Bunga sent me that message, and also in social media I found that so many people like share their personal problems in the social media, like in the Facebook, in the Twitter, and maybe right now in the TikTok. Yeah, they just like telling their personal problems in the public. Yeah, instead of getting help, they just like getting cyberbullied, and the people around them just know their personal problems, and that's where we think that why don't they just like talk to the people that is trusted. Yeah. So the first solution, the first prototype of relief, we just like created a community. So we just like peer-to-peer, like people who can listen. So it's just like a mobile app prototype. So we don't have any psychologists, and then day by day, after I graduated from my university, and then I joined like business incubator, and some mentor told me that we just can't just to make an app only without the business model. It's only it will be only just a community only. Yeah, it will go nowhere. So that's why we connect to psychologists. So when we connect to psychologists, and it was like student, a psychology student, not a professional psychologist. And after the psychological student, they answered the question, and then we got the connection to professional psychologists, and that's where all the people from our university use the apps, and then time by time, a more early adopter get the user, and then it's organically grows. So actually, when we create something, just don't think that it's our final product, yeah, because it will evolve based on the feedback, based on the feedback that people use our app in early days. Yeah, so that's how we get there, and then media, and then some competition we join, and then yeah, we keep growing the business. Yeah, that's how we get the solution. Thank you. Yeah.
That's very nice, Mr. Arta. Sorry, Mr. Maxi. I also use Relief.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because it's really helped, because sometimes young people is kind of ashamed go to the psychology, and then Relief is kind of like you could like try to understand yourself first, and then try to chat with someone you don't really know who she is or who they are,
Yeah.
but you could tell your problem, and then they're professional, so it really helped.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so for Mr. Helmut, how is ESDB to support Indonesia for the G20? And then what is the activity that is like most memorable in your life, like affect your life? Okay.
Well, thank you for the very creative and innovative thinking questions. What is on the Islamic Development Bank? We have been pretty much instrumental during the pandemic in relations to our partnership with the Indonesian government, because we have implemented 3 R's: respond, restore, and restore. We named the program as such, together with the Indonesian government in partnership with so many different NGOs and private sectors as well, in the context of purchasing, helping the government to purchase the vaccines and all the adversities, you name it, during the pandemic. This is number 1. Number 2, if you recall, so many buildings in Indonesia. I mentioned this during our trip from the hotel to the venue. UIN, UIN, right? The OEIN.
Yep.
Some of their buildings in Indonesia are actually getting the fund from our organization, Islamic Development Bank. And not only that, we also provide scholarship. I know your eyes got very excited. Okay, scholarships, right? So in so many different member countries, even in the countries where Muslims are the minority. So basically, our scholarships are not only for Muslims. For anybody, being eligible to apply for the scholarships, you are most welcome to apply in any fields or in any specializations. And formally, in my department at the institute, we only used to provide the sort of scholarship for master and PhD students in the field of Islamic economics and finance. But in other departments, we provide scholarships for science, technology, medicines, anything under the sun, basically, right? As long as you're eligible. Well, now the most exciting part. What am I doing, or what have I been doing during my spare time? Look, I do many different things. I like doing sports. I used to become part of the choir, right? Therefore, I met, your singer. Na, 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 na. What's the name of that girl? Right, okay. And I thought, look, why don't you do the voice 1 and I do voice 2? Right? The face, falsetto, and so on and so forth. I get it, because I was to be part of the choir. And when I was in elementary school, I won the Musabaqah Tilawatil Quran, so I was a muqra or qari as well. So I understand the tone, whether the tone is in tune or out of tune, so I can easily get those things as well. And I used to be very active in Boy Scout as well, and I play a bit of guitar. And I used to be doing martial arts as well, precisely pencak silat for 7 years, from the mentee to become the mentor. And well, I have so many passions in so many different things, and in fact, now I'm interested to, let's stay in touch with the Youth Foundation and Boundaries, because I would like to sponsor some of the students, Indonesian students who are now studying in Saudi Arabia, so that they can be part of your extraordinary platform in Istanbul Youth Summit, inshallah. That's my plan.
Wow, there's so many activities. Very talented. Okay, so the last question. Is this about the social project that young people is actually doing right now? How is it like we want to get this project perfectly, like implementation perfectly? How is it possible, in your opinion?
All right, so this is the nature of human being. But first of all, I wish I was your professor because the way you ask questions and the number of questions that you ask could easily bring you an A from me. So thank you for the questions. Again, circling back to my previous sentence, this is just us as a human being. We kind of tend to focus on us being able to solve everything we want to solve. This is not a math. When you're talking about public health, this is not like 1 plus 1 equal to 2. In order to get 2, you might get it from 4 minus 2. It's also 2. Or 2 minus 0 is also 2. So it's not a simple math that we could create a simple solution or innovative solutions and it will essentially solve everything. No, I'm so sorry to say that. But one thing that as a young people, as young leader, things that we can do is first to educate yourself. Understand what's going on, especially if you're talking about social projects and you're talking about systems. It's a complex unit. You're talking about health system, you're talking about social system. It's a complex problem, complex issue. So first, educate yourself, understand what's going on, what existing resources you have, what have done by what things that have been done by other colleagues out there, and to just simply learn more from the existing resources available. Second, and this is the most important part, you need to start execute your plan. If you're not implementing your ideas, it's still gonna be an ideas. So if you're not actually taking action, it's still gonna be ideas and there will be no implementation. So start doing. If you have this kind of ideas to create, oh, let's do social media campaign, and you're not doing it, it's just still gonna be your idea to create social media campaign. But if you're starting the social media campaign tomorrow, it is going to be your social project. So first, educate yourself. Second, simply do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay guys, is there anyone who wants to ask a question? I only give like one question, okay, for the next person. I'll give this lady. Yeah. Yes.
Check. Do you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Isra Novita. I'm from Education Group, number 9. Thank you very much for your sharing for all speakers from mental health, economic, and public health. For the first, I would like to say thank you for Sir Aime Subigarta, Sir Imade Subagyarta, because your story before about actually every single moment, I mean a great moment has their own time, and it's really related to me because it made me remember about the first time pandemic come to Indonesia. We know that the first time is the 2nd of March in 2020, especially in Depok, in my place to study in University of Indonesia. Actually, I'm a Medan citizen. I mean, I'm not what is it? I'm not people in Depok actually because I'm from Medan, but I study there. But yeah, because of that, because of this pandemic, I have to go back to Medan, and I didn't meet my friends in University of Indonesia or yet in my college. So yeah, in these 2 years, it's really like to Mr. Arta, like it's the first time, really first time to holding this microphone perhaps and speak in front of all people like this. And Me too. This is really my first experience in these 2 years because yeah, but it's a bit shaking hand. But
It's okay,
sorry, it's too much. But actually, because it's really related to my question, because actually about the health policy is always contrast about economic policy. So maybe it's gonna be related to Mr. who share about economic policy. Because actually, if we talk about health policy, in my university, health student or health policy student or health public student, they would like to suggest that okay, we don't study in the university like that, but for economic perspective, should say that we have to directly because it's gonna make economic improve. It's like health perspective and economic perspective is always contrast. So how about you? How is your perspective from public health and economic policy about this kind of policy? And maybe for the last about mental health, because I have been 2 years. It's about 2 years. I didn't meet a lot of people because only stay at home. So how to solve mental health issues that because it's already a long time, 2 years. Could you imagine 2 years? I didn't meet anyone, but actually I have to study with my friends like that. But yeah, but I didn't do that, and this is my first time to meet a lot of people like this. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for it's too much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question is about the policy. How is it possible to make a policy between, the POV from the health and then from the POV of from the economic? So I would like to give Mr. Arnold first about this topic, please.
Right. This is such an interesting question. First of all, thank you. And the fact that you're asking questions, that's great.
Yeah, please keep it up for her.
You need to credit yourself for doing that. It's not easy, you guys. Even when I was standing there, I was shaking. I was nervous. What if I say something wrong? So credit to yourself. Well, back to your questions. It's a yes and no. So first, from the health perspective, of course, our main priority is to save people, period. Nothing else. So that is our first concern, how to save people from dying, how to increase the quality of life of people. So if you look at any health policy, they will be focusing on people because that's our responsibility as human beings to protect us, right? And then if you're looking into health system, you will realize that there will be no healthcare without economy. There will be no healthcare without infrastructure. There will be no healthcare without human resources. So I just wanted to emphasize to the fact that health system is complex and it is interconnected. So in order to create some policies within the health system, we need to think about something else. We need to know how to finance your project or how to finance your program, how to build infrastructure, how to build any necessary resources in order to support your vision to create a better healthcare system. So it's actually a no. The contrast might not be real in the context of healthcare system because there will be no healthcare without any supporting tools, economy, or other agendas. So I would say, in my perspective, as a healthcare professional, of course, I will put the people first. But I also understand that I cannot do that without understanding that all the things in the world is connected, including the economy. So to just summarize, it looks like there's a contrast down there because, of course, the economy wanted to save the economy, prevent the financial loss. But at the same time, we also realize, as a healthcare professional, we won't be able to do anything without the economy itself. So it is interconnected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arta. You want to add some?
No, indeed, because the question also revolves around between health and economies. In fact, I cannot agree to Arta MD. You know, I remember this one of my favorite TV series. The doctor in HTTV, right? Yeah. No, there is no such things as the contrasting policies between health and economy. So just to make things easy, from the perspective of layman's word, who is running the economy? Human being. If we are sick, if we are not healthy, economy simply cannot be run. As simple as that.
That's very amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Hilman. Okay, due to the time, I will give another chance for others. Is there? Okay, please. You. No, this one first. Yeah, that's.
Assalamu alaikum, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a simple question about Islamic banking or Islamic financial system. I am from Pakistan. Why the Islamic concept of Islamic banking or Islamic financial system is not very successful? Despite all the efforts by the governments, especially in Pakistan, the Prime Minister is saying that we will make the country a Islamic social welfare state. So despite all the effort, the countries, Islamic Muslim majority countries, are not ready to give up the interest they are earning or the Western system they have adopted. And many countries are just simply don't care now. But I just simply want to ask you, what is the reason behind the failure of Islamic banking system or Islamic financial system? And it's what countries are trying their best, but it's losing its grip day by day from all countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
This question deserves at least 2 semesters. At least
In Harvard, or it can be anywhere?
it can be in Harvard actually. Yeah, why not? If there is any sponsor, and at least 1 year master degree in the United Kingdom. But let me put it simply like this, right? We cannot simply generalize that Islamic has become a failure. No. You are perhaps, I totally understand, because I've been very familiar with the level of development of Islamic financial services industry in Pakistan. In fact, I had a few meetings with Sheikh Taqi Usmani. You should know Sheikh Taqi Usmani. So perhaps our gentleman here is talking about the picture of Islamic banking and finance industry in the context of Pakistan. But there are so many different success stories that really demonstrate the success and how it has been very impactful for the underprivileged society or communities, irrespective of the religious affiliations as well as races in different parts of the world. Not to mention that Malaysia and some of the countries in Central Asia, as well as some of the European countries as well. But obviously I don't want to bore you because otherwise it gets too technical, but I'll be happy to discuss later during the break, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so is there another question? Yes, please. Yeah, the lady.
Check.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Hilman, Mr. Naksi, and Mr. Arta. Especially for Mr. Arta, it's a great honor to meet you here. I'm a big fan of you actually. Okay, my first question about, first, my name is Nia Lestari and I'm doing my co-assistant program as veterinarian from IPB Indonesia. And the first question is about the public health for Mr. Arta. What do you think about the priority of diseases that are actually dangerous seems to be forgotten during pandemic COVID-19, such as related to my background, such as zoonosis, such like rabies and dengue fever, and what kind of collaborations we need to solve the diseases through the One Health concept related to my background as a veterinarian. And the second question I want to ask to Mr. Maxi. I just want, during a pandemic, there is a new trend in society, which is to raise a pet, just like dogs and cats, to feel their loneliness during a pandemic. How do you think about that from mental health background? Thank you. That's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Ardak, can you? Okay.
Thank you for the questions. This is absolutely true. And this is not only affecting diseases that happened prior to COVID-19, but there's so many things that we're trying to forget exist in the world. And let's just get back to your questions. In so many countries, let's just define what the problem really is. So let's group the diseases into two groups. There will always be non-communicable diseases or lifestyle-related diseases like obesity, diabetes, and stuff. And there's also infectious diseases or communicable diseases. So these are two main groups of diseases out there. Okay? And then since the starting point of COVID-19, we forget about malaria. We forget about zoonosis. We forget about rabies. We forgot about even obesity. If you think about it, obesity is also an epidemic in certain countries, for example, United States. But now we kind of forget about that because we're focusing on COVID-19, which to me is a right move. Because within the healthcare system, we need to be able to prioritize what is the current problem. Because obviously we can't, it's absolutely impossible to solve the whole problem existing in the world. So making priority is one thing. So this is why within this past 2 years we've been talking about COVID-19 because we don't even understand what COVID-19 really is, right? We're learning every day. We just learned about Delta variant. All of a sudden Omicron exists, right? So there are a lot of things changing every day, and we are now still trying to learn more about the existing COVID-19 pandemic. Again, this is not us trying to forget that we're also struggling to tackle other diseases. This is just us making priority. If you remember my matrix, so there's like red, yellow, and green. So COVID-19 now is within the red zone, which require immediate actions. I'm not saying that other diseases is less important. They all can kill us. So we need it to protect ourselves. But again, COVID-19 now is within the red zone that we need to take immediate actions to tackle the issues. So going back to the One Health approach. So I remember when I was still in Indonesia, we got funded by the US government, again, to tackle the emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. So we talk about rabies, we talk about anthrax, we also talk about antimicrobial resistance, which is an issue within the Southeast Asia. The program is still existing up until today. It's just us trying to prioritize, again, COVID-19. And what we can do as part of this healthcare system or health professional system is just to contribute what you understand about your own field. So for example, if you're vet students, you understand what animal health is. And I don't understand what animal health is, even though I'm a medical doctor. I do understand the human diseases, but I also realize that, hey, animal health can impact our human health. So there's things that I need to learn from you. But you also need to realize you need to learn from me or learn from other medical doctors, for example, to understand, oh, where's the connection? Where is the possibility that animal health could impact human health, that human health can impact animal health, vice versa. So there will be a lot of interconnection, discussion, collaborations, and coordination. That's why we have this One Health approach to just simply remind ourselves, hey, you're a FAT students doesn't mean that you're the best. You also need architecture students to learn how to build a proper houses in your household, or if you have PAT, for example, how to build a proper kandang in your household, for example. You might not be the best person for that, but you can learn from each other. So interconnection, collaboration, cross-disciplinary is something that we have to start and we need to do starting from today. I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arta. And then for the last question for Mr. Maxi, in the pandemic, there's a lot of people that raise a pad. So is there any effect to the mental health? Is that good for our mental health or whatsoever?
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for the question. Yeah. Actually, this is also answered the previous question. Yeah. I think 2 years we've been in the pandemic, and I think I will answer it based on the psychologist that shared to me, because I'm not a psychologist, but the psychology of relief told me that in the pandemic, actually, how usually people cope with the mental health problems. Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's from the light problems until heavy problems, but I think the most important thing is the people when they can understand where is the source of the stress. Yeah, because actually depression or personal problems, it always started by the stress. Yeah, if we are as a common people understand where the source of stress, so we can start from there. Yeah, actually, if we know the source of the stress, maybe it's related about our works, our school, or our relationships, and we know that is the source of the problem, we can talk to someone that we can trust. Yeah, not someone that we cannot trust. Yeah, that's why we have a psychologist, because in my country, people will think that you just talk with someone. Why you have to pay to talk with someone? Yeah, I think that's another stigma. Yeah, if you talk to psychologists. Yeah, but actually you can talk to someone that you can trust about your source of stress. Yeah, or if you don't know the source of the stress, yeah, there's a lot of activities that you can do, like exercise, self-healing, meditation. Yeah, actually meditation keywords at the Google, it will be the top search, yeah, on the world, meditation at 2020, yeah, because of the pandemic. So raising the pad, some activities like that also help us to reduce the stress of that. Yeah, I think that I can share about the stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maxi. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry because we have like a short of time. Then I know you will help me after this. Like, why don't you point at me? I want to ask question. Well, there is another panel discussion after this. So if you want to ask to the speakers, you could ask for the second panel session. And then I will thank you. I will thank to the three of you, the speakers, the amazing speakers. It's such an honor for me to moderate for you. I'm really nervous because this is like my first time, moderating in English. So I'm sorry if my English is not really good. To sum up, so this is like all of the topic today is talking about the pandemic. So we really want to kind of stop the pandemic. But there's one quote there is from Mr. Maxi, like if you want a dream become a reality, dream together. I think it's it's aligned with the COVID-19. If we want to stop this COVID-19, we can't just rely on the government. We need to reflect ourselves. We need to collaborate it together so that this pandemic can be over as soon as possible. I think that is for today. Thank you very much for all the audience and also for the speakers. My name is Chantika Udiana, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. I'll give it back to the moderator.
Thank you very much to Ms. Chantika. Give applause for our guests.
Okay, and again, we would like to say thank you very much to the honorable speakers, Mr. Audrey Maximilian, Mr. Hilman Ishar, and Mr. Imade Subagyarta, and also our wonderful moderator Miss Chantika Widiana Sopiansha for the amazing and insightful panel session.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is Souvenir Hanover, which will be accompanied by photo session. To all the honorable speakers are welcome to come to the stage, and we will invite the CEO of Youth Break the Boundaries, Mrs. Melody Latifah Saraswati, to hand over his souvenir. To Miss Melody Latifah Saraswati,
we welcome her to the stage. And we let the photographer to take the photo. And ladies and gentlemen, it will be continued by the photo session of the moderators, speakers, and also the CEO of Youth Break the Boundaries on the stage. Okay, thank you very much to the whole speakers and also our moderator and also to the CEO of Youth Break the Boundaries, Mrs. Melody Latifah Saraswati. And to the whole honorable speakers and also our moderator. You may leave the stage and get back to your seat. So ladies and gentlemen, right on this second, we already reached the time for break. And we would like to announce you that the second break time will be started now and will be properly ended at 4:50 p.m. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and to the whole respectfully audiences are welcome to leave the ballroom and requested to be ready inside the room before the beginning of the next panel session.
and please come to the room on time at 4:50. 4:50 p.m. Thank you very much.